It was a chilly Saturday morning when a man named David sat alone in the corner of a small-town diner. The smell of pancakes and fresh coffee filled the air, but his heart felt empty. He had everything money could buy, a mansion on the hill, luxury cars, a company that made millions, but what he didn't have was someone to share it with. As he stared blankly out the window, lost in thought, a little girl with messy blonde hair and a pink backpack walked up to his table. She looked about 8 years old, nervous but determined. Then, with the softest voice, she said, "Sir, here's $50. I just need a dad for one day." David froze. The world around him went silent. Hey everyone, welcome to Kindness in Action, where we share real, heart-touching stories that remind us of the power of compassion and humanity. If this story touches your heart, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Every story we tell here is a reminder that one act of kindness can change a life. Now, let's dive into today's story, one that will make you believe again in the goodness of people. David Mitchell was 53 years old. To the world, he was the definition of success, CEO of a major tech company, featured in magazines, known for his innovation and sharp business sense. But behind all that glory was a man who ate dinner alone every night and often scrolled through old family photos, staring at the one person he'd lost, his daughter, Emily. Emily had passed away 5 years earlier in a car accident. She was only 10. Since that day, David's life had been a blur of work, money, and silence. He stopped celebrating birthdays, stopped visiting the park, stopped smiling. That morning at the diner, he was simply trying to escape the emptiness, and that's when the little girl, with eyes so full of innocence, handed him a crumpled $50 bill. He blinked, unsure he'd heard her right. What did you say, sweetheart?" "I said, I'll give you $50 if you can be my dad for one day," she repeated, her voice trembling slightly. David looked around, half expecting someone to jump out with a camera. Maybe it was a prank. But there was no one. Just her. Standing there in a worn-out pink jacket, holding a small wallet in her hands. He cleared his throat. Why would you want that?" The little girl hesitated, then whispered, "It's daddy-daughter day at my school. And my mom says she can't come because it's only for dads." David's heart twisted. "And your dad?" She looked down at her shoes. "He went to heaven when I was 4. For a moment, David couldn't speak. The sound of the coffee machine in the background faded away, replaced by the sound of his heartbeat. He pushed the money back toward her gently. "Sweetheart, you don't have to pay me anything. I'd be honored to go with you." Her face lit up, the kind of smile that could melt stone. "Really? You mean it?" "I mean it," he said softly. The next morning, David found himself standing outside Lincoln Elementary School. He hadn't set foot in a school in years. He wore a simple sweater instead of his usual suit, and in his hand was a pink lunchbox he'd picked up at a nearby store, her favorite color, she'd told him. When the little girl, whose name was Lily, saw him, she ran up and hugged him tightly. "You came. I promised, didn't I?" He smiled. All around them, dads were walking hand in hand with their daughters. Some carried balloons, others wore matching shirts. David felt awkward at first, unsure what to do, but Lily guided him through every activity. They built a birdhouse together, played a three-legged race, and shared cupcakes that Lily had baked with her mom. Every time she laughed, David felt something in his chest slowly healing. During the craft hour, Lily drew a picture of herself holding hands with David. Above it, she wrote, "Me and my dad, best day ever." When she handed it to him, David's eyes filled with tears. "That's beautiful, Lily. I'll keep this forever." She grinned. "That means you have to come next year too." He chuckled, trying to keep his composure. "We'll see about that." But in his heart, he knew he'd already made that promise. Silently after the event, David offered to take Lily and her mom out for ice cream. Her mom, a tired-looking woman named Sarah, was hesitant at first but eventually agreed. They went to a small ice cream shop nearby, the kind with old-fashioned stools and cheerful music playing in the background. As Lily devoured her chocolate cone, Sarah leaned over and said quietly, "I hope she didn't bother you too much yesterday. She's been talking about Daddy-Daughter Day for weeks, and I just couldn't find the heart to tell her no." David smiled. "She didn't bother me at all. She reminded me what joy looks like." Sarah looked surprised. "That's kind of you to say." She paused, then added, "You know, she's been through a lot. Losing her father so young, sometimes I think she just misses that feeling of being protected." David nodded slowly. He understood that feeling better than anyone, the ache of missing someone you can never hug again. Before they left, Lily looked up at him and said, "Do you think maybe we could hang out again sometime? You're really good at being a dad." David swallowed hard. "I'd like that, Lily. I'd like that a lot." In the weeks that followed, David found himself driving to their small house on the edge of town every weekend. Sometimes he brought groceries, other times he brought board games or books for Lily. They watched movies, went to the park, and even built a treehouse together in their backyard, something he'd always wanted to do with his own daughter but never got the chance. Sarah would watch them from the porch, tears often welling in her eyes. She saw how gentle David was with Lily, how he listened, encouraged her, and treated her like she was the most important person in the world. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Sarah quietly said, "You've brought something back into her life, something I couldn't." David smiled softly. "She did the same for me." It was true. Lily's laughter had filled the silence in his home. Her drawings now hung on his refrigerator. And for the first time in years, he didn't dread waking up in the morning. He wasn't just helping her, she was helping him heal. A few months later, David invited Sarah and Lily to his company's charity event. He wanted them to see the world he came from, the side that wasn't all numbers and suits. When they arrived, people whispered, "Who's the little girl?" some asked. David didn't care. During his speech, he paused midway, looked down at the crowd, and said, "I used to think success was about money. About how high you can climb. But lately, I've learned that success means nothing if you have no one to share it with." He turned to Lily, who was sitting in the front row, swinging her legs. "This young lady reminded me what love and kindness look like. She gave me back something I thought I'd lost forever, hope." The room went silent. Even the most hardened business partners felt something stir inside them. After the event, people came up to him, men and women, saying they wanted to volunteer, to give back, to reconnect with their families, all because one little girl decided to ask a stranger to be her dad for a day. Years passed. David officially retired from his company and focused on philanthropy. He started a foundation for children who'd lost parents, offering mentorship, scholarships, and emotional support, and at the heart of that foundation's logo was a simple drawing, two